the rest of 8.5.
Why? You don't
Wait for
have
somebody to cut your hair?
Yeah, I can't do it.
My mom wants me to cut my hair, but I'm going against her right now, so I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, 8.5. If we are going to multiply matrices together, okay, then they have to be, they have to have like certain parts that are the same. So if I have a matrix that is a 2 by 2, and I want to multiply it to a matrix that's a 2 by 4, I can do that. This number here and this number here have to match up. So my columns in my first matrix has to match up to my rows in my second matrix. And then it's going to give me a new matrix of what's left over. So if I multiply a 2 by 2 with a 2 by 4, it's going to give me a 2 by 4. Okay? So when I'm looking at matrices for multiplication, first I've got to establish the rows by columns. Yes?
So just the two outside numbers are the only thing that matter.
No, the inside numbers are what matter because that's what allows you to multiply them together. The outside numbers give you your new dimensions. So they both have things that happen. So if I have this, for instance, -1, 3, 4, -2, 5, 0. And I want to multiply this with -3, 2, -4, 1. Okay? If I want to multiply those together, this is a 3 by 2. This is a 2 by 2. I can multiply them together because these are the same. My new matrix is going to be a 3 by 2. Okay. Now, when you multiply matrices together, there's a pattern to do. You're going to multiply this row by this column. Okay? So you multiply the row by the column. So you do -1 times -3, okay, for this spot right here. I do -1 times -3, so I get 3. And then you add it to 3 times -4. So you get -12. Okay. For this spot here, you do this, okay, and then we come over and multiply it by this column. So I do -1 times 2, which is -1, plus 3 times 1, which is 3. For that spot, for this middle spot, I'm going to do the same thing over. I'm going to go and take 4 and -2. I'm going to multiply 4 by -3, which is -12. And I'm adding it to -2 times -4, which is 8. Then I move to the next spot. And I multiply by this column now. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus -2 times 1, which is -2.
So you only multiply the two middle numbers are the same?
Yes. Correct.
That makes sense.
So then, my last spots down here, I would do this row by this column. 5 times -3 is -15, plus 0 times -4, which is
I have my own fears, I should.
beautiful. Okay. Then I take this row again by this column for the last spot. 5 times 2 is 10, and then 0 times 1 is 0. Now, I just have to transfer these into answers, and I have my new 3 by 2 matrix. So I have 3 and -12, which would give me -9. I have 3 and -1, which gives me 2. 8 and -12, which gives me -4. 8 and -2, which gives me 6. -15 and 10. And that is my new matrix when I multiply them together.
Okay.
Okay?
And then we're done there.
And then we're done there. now, that's multiplying that matrix together. Let's multiply a couple other ones. Let's multiply this. We're going to do, well, let's see if we can multiply it. 1, 0, 3, 2, negative 1, negative 2. And let's do negative 2, 4, 2, 1, 0, 0, negative 1, 1, negative 1. Okay. What size is this one?
2 by 3.
2 by 3. What size is this?
3 by 3.
So I can multiply these together because those are the same. I get a new shape of 2 by 3. Okay? So I'm going to get a 2 by 3. I'm going to put it down here so that I have space. Now, for this first spot here, I take this row by this column. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Okay? 0 times 1 plus 0. And then I have plus negative 3. I need to make this wider so that I can work with it. And then I come to the middle spot. Okay, middle spot, I switch over to this right here. Okay, so I do 1 times 4 plus 0 times 0 plus 3 times 1. And then I'm coming out here. And I do 2 times 1. I do 0 times 0. I do 3 times negative 1. Okay, so that takes care of right there. And I said I was going to get a 2 by 3, right? So 2 rows, 3 columns. Perfect. Over here, now I'm finding out this spot. I do 2 times negative 2, negative 4, negative 1 times 1, plus negative 1, and then negative 2 times negative 1 is plus 2. Now for the middle spot, 2 times 4 is 8, negative 1 times 0 is 0, negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. And then I do this last spot, 2 times 2 is 4 plus 0 plus 2. And then I rewrite it, so this is negative 5, this is 7, this is negative 1, I have negative 3, I have 6, and I have 6. And that is my answer for my multiplication matrixing. Okay? So we're going to have to multiply matrices together like that, and then we're going to come back in and add and subtract them and do fun things like that. Okay, the last thing we need to talk about is solving linear systems. Okay, so if I have a linear system that says, like this, x sub base 1 minus 2x sub base 2 plus x sub base 3 equals negative 4. X sub base 2 plus 2x sub base 3 equals 4, and 2x sub base 1 plus 3x sub base 2 minus 2x sub base 3 equals 2. I first need to change that into a matrix, okay? I need to change it into 2 matrices, and I'm going to use the x sub base 1, sub base 2, sub base 3 as one of my matrices. So the first matrix, I'm taking all these leading coefficients. So here I have a 1, I have a negative 2, I have a 1. Here I have nothing, I have a 1, I have a 2. 2, 3, negative 2. I am multiplying those by x sub base 1, x sub base 2, x sub base 3, so that I get my answers, negative 4, 4, 2. So I can set up this. What? No. This one we want to set it up as all the leading coefficients times my missing things equals my new numbers. Because what I did is I multiplied these matrices together. This was a 3 by 3, right? And this is a 3 by 1, yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm going to get a 3 by 1. Okay, so I multiplied them together to get those answers, is what it's saying. And from here, I want to solve, okay? I want to solve for these systems. So, yeah, okay, so that's the first step. Then, Alex, yes, the second step is to turn it into augmented after this. But we're going to turn it into augmented in a special way. And then we're going to go into that whole form where we get the 0, 0, 0, like 1, 0, 0. Yeah. Okay. So now I want to change this into augmented with just this, right? And these. So what happens is I'm going to get it to look like this. It's going to say 1, -2, 1, -4. It's going to say 0, 1, 2, 4. And then it's going to say 2, 3, -2, 2. So I turn it into augmented. Okay? Now, I want there to be a 1 in the first spot. Is there a 1 in the first row in the first spot? Yes. So I don't have to switch any rows around or do any funky stuff like that. Okay? Now, I want to create elimination. So I'm going to rewrite the equation. So since this is already how it needs to be with a 1 there, I want it to say 1, 0, 0, -4. I want it to say 0, 1, 0, 4. And I want it to say 0, 0, 1, 2. Okay? That way my 1's go all down like that and I can start solving, yes? So, my x1, what happens is, this is pretty simple. My x3 is set equal to 2, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But I have a little problem because that's not the answer yet. So the solution for the system of the linear equations is that x1, wait a second, let me think about this. This isn't what I want over here. To get this to be, how would I solve this? To get this to be 1, 0, 0, -4, I would have to multiply, or I would have to subtract, add, subtract, let me think.
Thank you, Josh.
Yes.
Thank you.
So when I do this, I would have to figure out what those other answers are going to be. -1, 2, 1. The top one, if I want those other two numbers to change into 0 and 0, I have to add 2 and subtract 1 from it, basically, correct? What is happening? Is that Mr. Rice's room? That's unusual.
I think we can compete.
You're doing the student teaching.
Oh, that makes sense. So I end up getting, let's see here, -1, 2, and 1 is what they end up getting, -1, 2, and 1. But I get that because up here, I would just subtract 2 from this row, right? So row 2 minus 2, because if I subtract, I have to, what do I have to do? Let's see here. If I multiply the first row, yeah, then that's going to give you that. So we have to multiply the first row. Oh, lordy. Okay. And then you'll get your answers. So then x1 is -1, x2 is 2, and x3 is 1. And here's what we do. We plug it back in and we check. So we plug it in and we say 1, -2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, -2. And we go like this. -1, 2, 1. And we see what you get out. This times this gives me -1, -4, and 1, which gives me -4. This gives me 0, 2, 2, which gives me 4. This gives me -2 and 6, which is 4, and then -2, which is 2. So we're working on multiplying and solving. What?
Can I use the restroom?
Yes.